pick the Bane here, then D2 Hustlers just have a very easy silencer pick, and then I think the silencer pick is almost too good versus Black and Yellow's lineup. The D2 would just immediately go for it. So the Disruptor is a pretty good middle ground here, even though you're not giving away, or you are giving away the ability to grip this Pango in the middle of his role. You've now got something kind of in that same idea where you can limit his rotations just a little bit and talk about a better hero versus the Monkey King, someone who can actually give you vision for him in the trees if this does end up being support again.
Right. And, I mean, theoretically speaking, you're looking at a bit of a nice team fight potential between these three heroes. You've got the Arena, you've got the Static Storm, you can fire the Mortimer Kisses from pretty far away into all of that setup as well. So it may be a little bit difficult for them to get all three of those pieces into the same fight, but the theoretical power does have to be there, and it's going to have to be something that D2 Hustlers maybe aren't worried about, but are at least aware of, especially with the Monkey King, right? Your Wukong's command could turn into basically you putting a target on your own head. But for now, we do see the Coddle coming out for that D2 Hustlers side. It's maybe not quite the Coddle that we've seen from some of the South American teams, but it is still going to be incredibly valuable for them.
Well, and what do they pair it with? Okay, Ogre, keeping a little bit blind here, but we've seen the Keeper Storm, we've seen the Keeper Gyrocopter. What do they actually want to now kind of propel forward? With the Ogre matchup, though, it feels like they've got a few too many supports now. I think, of course, Monster was most likely going to slot into that Pango role regardless, just because I think he is the Pango player on that team. But at the same time, are they looking for a mid laner now? I feel like now they almost don't have enough time in their draft to loop back around with some of that flexibility. I don't think we could see a Flea Monkey King, a Monster Pango, and then see a mid Coddle. They don't have enough supports now, or rather, they don't have enough cores on their team to actually, I think, play the game in that more traditional fashion. And Black and Yellow get arguably Yamsun's best hero. So I think that D2 needed either a safe laner or a mid laner, but this is getting a little bit funky with these two support pickups back to back. And I think that's something that Black and Yellow can definitely abuse a little bit, because you look at their lineup, their team fight is fantastic, and it feels like everything just feels a little bit more whole and a little bit more samey coming from Black and Yellow. They've run this lineup, I think, once or twice already before in this tournament.
And to relatively good effect. And for D2 Hustlers, it's a little funny if we'd have seen the Keeper or the Ogre. I think we're both saying, okay, either one of those is fantastic. Let's see what else they can put together. When you take both of them in that second phase, as you said, the lineup starts to look a little bit weird. So maybe there's still a mid laner that can tie this all together. They could get Esk on some sort of active mid laner. We talked about the Storm to pair up with the Coddle, always sort of a fun hero that you can push further forward than usual, but it looks a little strange at the moment. That's all you can really say.
Well, what makes the most sense to me and why this PL ban throws me off just a bit, I guess you're banning a little bit more for Yamsun here, is that it should be a safe lane Monkey King, a position 5 Ogre, a 4 Coddle, and a 3 Pango. That makes the most sense, and then you're looking for a mid laner. But at the same time, I'm thinking, could they swap it up where it's, a support Monkey or a mid Monkey King? The only reason I'm saying this Monkey King can't necessarily be mid is because you're going to pick mid Monkey King and you're going to bank on mid Monkey King into a blind matchup. I feel like that's just risky for almost no benefit, where I don't know. I feel like an S hero has to come out here. That's the way that their lineup makes the most sense for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could be Esk or Yuma's hero. Of course, they are going to wait and see what Sammy Boy is going to pick up for himself, but I feel like that's where Black and Yellow might have missed out on their bans a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Sammy Boy Huskar. Well, there's your counter pick right there. Are they going to put the monkey mid? You see they're hesitant on their hero picks right now, but
And the TA is just
let's
gonna
see
get
it.
it's gonna get so bullied if you try for it.
I mean, if they really wanted to, they could do Coddle mid, put the Monkey King on support, and then Yuma on the TA, and then make their lanes look awful. But it'd be really funny. I think that's what they're literally talking over it right now, because
I am
literally no
so
moves.
good at
Okay,
Dota.
Okay,
they're
hold on.
gonna sit in their lanes here, I think.
Still no blah blah definitive choice between the monkey and the TA. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, they're just gonna bite the bullet. Esk is gonna take the TA mid. So congratulations, you get to lane against a mid Huskar. That's just not fun under any circumstances with any hero, really. But well, We'll see. I mean, we've had instances in this event before ETU where a player is able to sort of defy what we expect from the matchup, but this, at least just in the drafting phase, does not feel like it's going to be one of those scenarios.
No, not at all. I think they've got to win, though. They've got to win their lanes. They have this same setup from the supports where nobody really wants to come mid unless it's just to contest or refill the bottle. So you got to win, Sammy. You got to go for it. And unfortunately, we are in this stage of Dota where the lane does matter less than it's ever mattered ever, where Esk can very reasonably walk over to his small camp, get the farm that way, focus on Flea's stacked camps instead of actually laning versus the Huskar. But that's the advantage that Black and Yellow need to take and they need to run with, because if they start falling behind and D2 Hustlers get a little bit too much space, that's where this lineup is feeling very, very balanced from them, especially with Yuma on the Monkey King. Once he gets that Echo Saber, that's where they swap roles. Esk becomes the hard farmer, and then it feels like they're going to start to get more out of the map than Black and Yellow can. That's also where Huskar, unfortunately, isn't one of the better heroes versus Monkey King, where if you do leap in a little bit too far, that ring is just going to rip you apart. So there's some things that Black and Yellow definitely have to play around, but I do like their draft a whole lot better than game one.
Mm-hmm. They've certainly put themselves in a stronger position, but as you said, a hero like the Huskar has,
No, it's just
I
unfair.
guess, a bit of an expiration date, right? He's got a window where beyond that point he's not useless, right? But he's going to lose that power spike, I think, earlier than most of the other cores in this game. So see if they can take advantage of that opportunity. We do, however, have a bit of a pause at the start because we've got ourselves a DC. Sammy. Poking a little bit of fun there. The bronze coddle, yeah. A little bit
Mm.
rare for any pro player to be playing a hero that they only on bronze tier on. You sort of assume that they've got more
Hey, Dota
practice.
Plus is expensive. It's
That's
expensive. It costs money. These
yeah, fair
salaries aren't
enough.
consistent enough. We can afford monthly Dota Plus for our players. It is pretty funny. I wonder if that would ever be on the table for Valve to just give people with a pro tag their Dota Plus for free, you know? Seems like it could be the benefit. Don't LoL players get skins? I don't know. I know nothing.
I got no knowledge about the professional league scene other than Worlds is kind of a big deal. But that's the extent of my knowledge. Also, there's an anime. Okay, I lied to you. I have two pieces of knowledge about League of Legends. So I am a dirty traitor to Dota. So in the meantime, I believe they said what was it? They said it was packet loss here for Flea. So he is attempting to get himself back in, but it may take a little while. And then even once he reconnects, we have to see if he's actually stable enough to want to move forward. But I believe really this is the first time we've had a pause in this event to go for more than 20, 30 seconds. Most of the time we've had any issues, it's been on just getting players into the lobby. So already a step further ahead than we usually are when we have these sort of connection issues.
Yeah, and usually a lot of those players with issues are on the South American teams, but they've been really rock solid this tournament. Not too many issues from their side, which has been a pleasure to see. Of course, we did have that rough first day whenever that was all on Valve's
Yeah,
side.
that was
So
not any player's fault. That was
you'll love to see that, you know, the big boy toppling over. But I think once Lee gets back in here, it is going to be interesting to see how they do decide to play around this chakra magic, because of course they don't have the most obvious hero pairing. Of course, Monster is not going to ever argue with getting the chakra put into him. Of course, having that shield crash spam coming out is going to be very obnoxious for the Morphling to deal with, but that's also where I wonder where Flea is going to post up in this game. Usually when we see the Keeper of the Light, you do kind of stamp your feet down in that triangle area, and then you just walk from lane to lane, giving each other mana, and that's something that I think Esk would be very pleased with, especially since he's probably going to need to buy a little bit more regen. I just hope he doesn't get too greedy with this bottle rush and then ends up getting completely zoned out like we saw the other day when he was laning up against Leo style. That was a little bit rough to watch, but we'll see if Sammy can, again, use this lane advantage to actually propel himself forward, because this is the counter pick. This is why they picked it, and if he falls behind, I'm just worried that we're going to see that same situation in Game 1 where D2 are just a little bit too clean, because Game 1, I mean, they're just monsters.
it was it was just the cleanest possible game they could have put together there, really. So they're hoping for a follow-up performance, but as we were mentioning, it just looks like this draft from Black and Yellow is, I don't know about maybe strong enough to just outright win. Making that kind of call is always a little iffy, but they're certainly in a position where I would be unbelievably surprised if they get rolled over in a similar fashion. So they should be able to better hold their own here, as we are going to get down to the bounties. Zero is looking to push forward. They're going to try and knock Devi off of this rune spawn, but the boundless strike in from Yuma actually allows Devi to pick that up. They'll get 3 of the 4, but now Yuma, you got boundless strike level 1. That's not always ideal, and it shouldn't take him too long to get level 2 and get that Jingu up, but you're going to have that first maybe wave or two where Zero and Lil Nick don't have that harassment to worry about. They could play a little bit further forward, and with this duo in particular, we were talking about it in the draft. If you get the chance to go into the Monkey King, if you hit him up with the Shredder, it really does take away any defensive capabilities from this Monkey King.
Yeah, not just that. You have the Mars, of course you have that Rebuke, and it just does so much damage. Devi's looking for the good Ignite onto both these targets, and I think he's going to get it in a sec here. Nope, misses onto Zero, but at the same time, Devi can't really help out with securing any of those ranged creeps, so monkeys don't really care all too much about getting that Boundless Strike level 1 for that express purpose, but that's where Zero and Nick definitely get a free pass here for just a little bit. Unfortunately, is Sammy going to miss a CS? All my focus is on the mid lane now. Does he get this last hit right here, or is Ask going to deny it out from underneath him? Oh, everybody's G and Crab game, actually.
So yeah, we had a bit of an issue with Devi. Lama said he needed to restart, so he is the player out of here, and yeah, Sammy lamenting the potential loss of a last hit at this point. So, well, get the Ogre back in and get this one ready to go. Not sure why he needed to restart, didn't really divulge that information, but he is quickly back into it. Not going to be nearly as long as the wait for Flea earlier on, and Black and Yellow ready to go. D2 Hustler's ready as well, so we'll see. Does he get it?
Nope. S got the last hit.
Unfortunate.
No deny.
And he
But
misses
that's
the next
also,
last hit, too.
it's very interesting to see Sammy go for the Burning Spears level 1, because a lot of Huskars in this matchup actually get the Inner Fire, because you can contest for those ranged creeps. You don't get nearly as many creeps denied versus you. Of course, Esk doesn't have any denies because he is getting zoned just a little bit hard off the wave, but I feel like that early level in Inner Fire just lets you play a little bit more confidently. And unfortunately, Esk will find that his small camp has been blocked, so Black and Yellow really have set Sammy Boy up for success here, forcing Esk to stay in the lane a little bit longer than I think he ideally wants to go for. And he's not going to scout out that small camp for a good minute and a half here, unless there's a sentry on him right now. Actually, there is. Okay. So we'll see if he scouts it out, but really he's only going to look over there as soon as maybe the breakaway for those water runes at 2 minutes.
And I think this is a lesson learned by Black and Yellow after game 1. They put Sammy on that Lina, which in and of itself, not really a horrible decision. The problem is that that Lina was left alone pretty significantly and oftentimes was in a 1v2 scenario with the rotations that came in from Hustlers. So they're still not going to look to make too many rotations right now, but they're at least trying to make sure with that blocked camp that things get a little bit easier for the Huskar to deal with. So, you know, just give him that little bit of an advantage. Don't leave him on an island by himself, and things can work from there with this matchup. Meanwhile, Jubei got sort of run out of the lane a little bit. Both heroes actually came out of lane to chase him for a little while, which we don't normally see that. Monster very quickly, though, got himself back into the actual lane itself. You don't really want to give Yamsun too much time here. Even if you're not actually going onto him directly, Monster's presence in the lane will at least be there to constantly poke, and we do see that Chakra Magic coming into play, so if Yamsun tries to push a little bit too far forward, he's going to be taking the shield crash to the face quite a bit more frequently.
But, as in Flea fashion, always makes time to stack. Every single time. Always getting these huge stacks over in his triangle, and Monster is never going to be annoyed to get that soul XP. I think Jubei is making the path over to try and block out those ancient stacks, but already Flea has just been very efficient with his time, and at the very least, Jubei was able to get control of his small camp just that little bit sooner this game, so Yamsun does have something to play around, and actually makes the rotation all the way to mid to keep Esk's camp blocked up here. And this is what they need to do. If they can keep blocking this small camp, contest Esk for the water and the bounty runes, right now Esk is going to, I think, unfortunately, walk over to that side of the map and find that they've been robbed. Jubei has gotten everything they want, and oh,
Uh,
unfortunately, I don't think you're that strong, Jubei.
yeah, he's gonna look for the
The
TP, but the
TP?
Illuminate sets up the
Nope.
kill. It was great up until the very last maneuver there. If he just sort of stays hidden and walks away, that is perfect from the Disruptor, but just tries to do that little bit too much, and he does get punished for it, because now you were doing so well. You were pushing Esk back. You had taken his camp out multiple times, but now you give him First Blood. That is going to be a little bit more towards stabilization for the TA, but at least over on the other side of the map, Zero and Lil Nick do manage to put that duo to good work, finding their kill on to the Ogre.
Yeah, the only unfortunate event in the bottom lane for Black and Yellow is Nick is getting a lot of the XP. He has not had that same free time when it comes to rotating out and stacking for his allies. I guess they're not too adept at killing stacks, so it's not the biggest loss for them, but at the same time, hey, devising a lot of damage, but they gotta be
Got the
scared.
armor reduction, but it's a tanky hero in the Ogre. Yuma now comes in with the Boundless Strike onto 2. Lil Nick will fall in 0. Gonna get slowed up by the Ignite. Jingu back up. Kill comes through from the DOT, and that play, I mean, they made it once, right? So they felt confident enough to go in again, but the Ogre is never going to be an easy target this early on. He's just so durable, and well, this time around, Yuma's in a position to immediately jump in to help him, and they turn the fight.
And really, that only happens because of how far forward the wave was. I think that previous kill on the Ogre was with the wave pushing into Black and Yellow, so it's just simply the positioning in the lane that kind of makes it seem as bad as it is. Also, nobody went for the tree cut, mainly because they weren't in the position to look out for Yuma's trees, so he just got a pretty long disabled tree dance for what it actually ended up being, and you can't really afford to give away too many scenarios like that. This lane does get more difficult for Yuma, especially once Nick finishes off the medallion. Then you're sitting at a pretty low armor count, but that's also where I kind of highlighted a little before. Nick is taking a lot of the experience here, so we're not going to see that level 6 Mars 6 minutes into the game making those crazy rotations and getting active. You're going to see them spread the XP, so it's a lot slower from these players. And again, Nick's just getting run at, no boots. But
they do get the Cookie Sun down, but there's going to be the Fire Blast keeping Zero away. So Yuma's going to push forward with the Boundless, and Lil Nick is going to get taken down. He did get the Scatter Blast off, but Yuma's got the Jingu. He's healing back up already. Zero should be able to fall back this time because Devi, I was going to say can't get into Ignite range. That's not true. He is going to go for it. Yuma wants to jump in, looking to cut through the trees.
Ooh.
And they should be able to get this. Zero,
Oh, no.
he needed that. If he hits that spear, maybe he lives. Maybe he even turns with the tower shots, but spear won't connect. Yuma's able to clean up. Double kill for your Monkey King in this bottom lane. It's you know what?
Same game.
It's failed.
It's the same game. That nobody can TP. It's the same setup that they had before where Sammy Boy is locked in his 1v1 more or less, and that's fine, but there's no rotation. Jubei is also way too weak because he's giving everything over to Yamsun. Jubei's level 2 while Yamsun's level 6. And sure, that's great for Yamsun's game, but that means that you don't have another active player. So anytime this bottom lane fails, they just keep going,
Zero
and there's
gets
no one
hit
to
up.
come. Again.
Threw the spear again, missed the spear again, dead again, and yeah, earlier on I hesitated because I didn't want to sound too harsh, but there really is no other way to say it. This lane has failed. It is broken. Black and Yellow really aren't going to be able to get much more out of it other than the Mars maybe soaking up experience, but now that might not even be a possibility either. You see them pushing onto the tower itself, so I don't really know what moves they have here, and you look over on the other side of the map as well. Esk is taking that Ancient stack that Fleece set up for him, so anything that the Huskar was doing mid, it's just not gonna really work. Esk is just finding so much farm. He's the top net worth hero, even with that very awkward laning matchup. At least you see Sammy on the other side farming his way towards an Arblet too, but it feels like he had a big opportunity to really stamp his mark in that middle lane, and it just didn't happen the way that they needed it to.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate because D2 Hustlers feel so efficient with their XP. It's the same rotation where Flea takes over in the mid lane, he nukes it out, so there's no way for them to actually get that push going on the mid tower. I think nice glimpse from Jubei, right place, right time, they get Flea. Got a little bit greedy there on the deny on the Invis rune, especially since it's not like his TA could actually use that to his own benefit, but they got to find plays like that because we're going to be in the same game where nobody has levels on the black and yellow side, and without levels, no one can really make plays. And you see how terrified. It's a level 7 Monkey to a level 4 Mars. Zeros does not want to even show up to this lane. And that lane ward from Devi is just perfect. If Zero steps even a little bit too far forward here, they go for that dive onto him, and there is still no good response for them.
Devi faking out the Bloodlust cast onto Yuma. That just looks a little weird. And Yuma's, I mean, he's pinging it out. They could go anyway. Zero does not have help, and they have Flea coming in. So they're just going to look to make the play. Fire Blast comes in. There's going to be the Primal Spring. They
Nice
actually cut down the tree. Very nice play from Zero, but I don't think it's really going to be enough to matter. The spear only hits onto the Ogre, so Zero will still be falling here. Lil Nick comes over, but it's far too late. Devi is relatively low at HP, but I don't think that's a kill that Nick could even get by himself, and they're just going to go for it again. Knockback from the Blinding Light. Yuma pushes forward with the Jingu, and then Flea finishes it with the... Oh my god! Finishes it with the Illuminate, but now Sammy...
No, this is good.
Can they do this? Yep, he's going to just start firing away. Can he win the 1v1? Okay, no he can't, but the DOT may still get the kill onto Yuma. They will glimpse him back. Jubei needs the kill. He doesn't get it himself, but Sammy does make it happen. So it cost Sammy Boy his life there, but he gets 2. That is big. 3 kills overall, 2 directly to the Huskar. That's going to make life feel quite a bit better for them, but even in that scenario, that's making the most out of what was already sort of a bad situation for them.
It's funny. Monster, knowing that there's not going to really be an easy play in the next few minutes, just uses his ulti to farm some of these stacks that Black and Yellow have got up, but that's pretty funny from him. Unfortunately, again, you weren't alive for one of those kills on Sammy Boy, and if you're trading your life, you just look over at the other side of the map and what Esk is doing, and you have to be getting a little bit concerned here. But that was the rotation that Sammy needed to make. If he doesn't show up there, then they just got away with murder in between your tier 1 and 2 tower. Unfortunately, that tier 1 tower did end up falling just because it was timed out with the cart, so there was that creep pressure getting put onto you, but I'm just worried about the next few minutes here. At least they spread out onto the map. They have the tome, and this would be a big kill mid, but Zero again.
Zero. The aim is just so off. They're still pushing for it with the static, though, as the Illuminate flies through. The Glimpse, though, gonna pull Esk back, but he did get the Refraction down. Lil Nick missing with the stun. Still chasing, though, but they don't have it. The Spirit connects. It's not enough damage. Lil Nick is the one to fall. Esk gets away, and I mean, you never want to lay it all at the feet of one guy, and it's not exclusively his fault, but Zero has got to start hitting these spears.
Yeah, it would have been a huge kill. Those were all of the big losers of the early game. Everyone was still hovering just around that 6-minute mark, 10 minutes into the game, and unfortunately, that was your 3 ultimate play that you guaranteed could make every single time. I just wonder now how the map is going to be felt afterwards, because D2 Hustlers are so quick. They're immediately pouncing onto this top tier 1. And really, the only way Black and Yellow can respond to this is going for the bottom tier 1 themselves and just going for that even trade that I don't even think the D2 are prepared to give it to them, because Monster's already set up to nuke in this wave. So they're just way behind the exchange right now.
Yeah, the tower's going to be lost while Monster runs interference. And at this point, I say interference, he might actually just be able to get the kill onto Lil Nick. He needs 1 or 2 more connections with the Rolling Thunder. But with Sammy here, yeah, once the Rolling Thunder ends, you don't want that, so he does back himself away. But hey, it really was, at this point, just a distraction. The tier 1 goes down with no resistance, and you see a lot of this map really starting to fall into the D2 Hustlers' hands, and they're gonna look for Devi. Okay. Ooh, a little bit of a weird interaction there. The spear does push Devi back, and he should fall. There was a moment there where it looked like maybe Yuma could get the Boundless Strike in for the kill, but not gonna be able to do so. But now he's got eyes on the Morphling, but he would rather just take the farm. Probably the better call there. Take the farm away from the Morphling and avoid what could have been a potential fight.
And really, that is the key phrase. Take away from the Morphling. And it's happening. Yuma has the Echo Saber. You don't want to necessarily give up the farm on your own side of the map, but that's where Esk on this Templar Assassin feels so well slotted into this draft. And he's going to have a Deso very, very soon here. And that's where if D2 really wanted to, they could look for that engagement over by the pit that you have to be so scared about using your ultimates now on Monster. He is getting chased around here, but if he really needs to, he's got the roll in 2 seconds. He's not even forced to. After he sees the cookie, he knows he's fine.
You see Jubei look at him, just trying to sprint his way over just in case he could get in range for the glimpse, but not able to make that connection in time. So, I mean, if you're Monster, that is a very far push forward there, but you draw 3 or 4 heroes into the lane. None of them can actually get onto you, and then you just sort of TP out, having wasted so much of your opponent's time while your own cores are just happily farming away. So these plays hurt so much for black and yellow, but they are going to catch out Devi again. They glimpse him back into that kinetic field. Devi, though, again, he's pretty tanky. And Zero, oh man, he missed another spear. It shouldn't matter. I think they've still got the kill. Oh boy. Well, that is soul-crushing. Devi even hitting Zero up with the tip afterwards, and at this point, these missed spears, they're just so much of a hindrance for black and yellow. If he hits that spear, that's just a straight-up easy kill, but instead, it turns into a more awkward situation where Yuma is going to get jumped in on here. Now the arena gets thrown down, but the Wukong's command will be deployed. He is trying to get out of the static storm, not going to be able to do so, so he does fall, but traded himself out for Zero. Now here comes Monster pushing his way forward, but did he...
Yeah, he toggled off.
Oh, man.
He dies to the Ignite, and now the fight's getting really messy, because Ask has the Deso. He does so much damage right now. Oh!
Cookie pushing Yamsun away, and he is going to be able to waveform himself out of there, so they keep Yamsun safe, and Monster, okay, little too zealous there on the back line looking for those support kills, so they do manage to punish him. That's going to be 2 cores taken down, and that looks quite a bit better for black and yellow getting that kill on the back end, but these fights are just so kind of uncoordinated for black and yellow, which is weird because their team seems like the one that has the more structured team fight plan on paper. Instead, they're kind of just scrambling around for plays. At least that time they were able to get those plays, but so much of that is only possible because Yuma drops at the very outset of the fight. If the Monkey King was able to sort of stick around for any significant length of time, that looks very different.
Yeah, and they are doing a good job. That was Yuma just getting a little bit too greedy on the eye spot. They didn't even have a ward there on the black and yellow side. It's just unfortunate, but unfortunately, Zero nuked the wave. He showed top, bought the Blink Dagger before he died, so no gold lost there at the very least. But as soon as he respawns, we got to see some big arena play here, and they're actually eyeing up Sammy. I don't think they necessarily want this, but this is timed so well, and that's a Spirit Vessel, and he is just
got it.
dead. Yep.
And I think, ET, I mean, you were right. I mean, that's a fight that they really didn't even want, but it's just so well set up for them that you can't ignore that opportunity, right? Huskar just walks into you, and they get the kill, and Roshan, they have the Aegis now in the TA, and it certainly isn't the massive, just unmitigated slaughter that it was in Game 1, but you can see similar markers starting to come into play here with D2 Hustlers pulling away. 4K lead at 16 minutes.
At least Yamsun's game is a whole hell of a lot better this time around. He is actually feeling like a little bit of a hero. The only problem is that's where Zero is absolutely not, but this is a good jump.
Okay.
They're going for the Aegis, but...
Spear onto Esk, Mortimer Kisses flying through, but even if they take Esk down, that's the hero carrying the Aegis, and they're not actually getting him yet. Instead, they'll glimpse Yuma back, but where's the static? They don't deploy it. Realizing, really, they don't have the damage. Zero can't go back in, and Sammy would really have to be the frontliner with the life break, which is not a scenario they want to walk into. Also, well, for that matter, they don't have the Morphling in this fight either, so they would love to just back out right now. Lil Nick, though, may not have that opportunity. He's knocked back by the Blinding Light. Flea gets the kill, and now, look at us go. He wants to use this Aegis, basically daring them to turn around. Static Storm is going to be deployed, but the static alone should not be enough damage. Yeah, Esk is going to survive, and black and yellow, they're so afraid, and they have to play kind of scared at the moment here. They know D2 Hustlers have the full strength of their lineup in position, so the second they commit everything to the fight, they're going to get hit hard.
Yeah, and that's where decisions like Sammy Boy not going for the BKB, he's going for the Ags instead, it places their timing even further down the line, and that's where any play that they can make that's successful is going to make this game easier for them to play. Unfortunately, this mid tower, it just seems almost impossible for them to defend. They don't have their ultimates. This should just be another freebie for D2, and unfortunately, this Aegis has just been so effective. They would have loved to get it out of his hands, make him try to play a little bit scared, but Esk is just absolutely fearless. He just has to change nothing in his play, and Monster with a Blink Dagger as well. He could find some nasty chains here if they're not too careful.
And you see them continuing the push. They know they have this massive advantage, so want further objectives. They want to really just slowly but surely suffocate this black and yellow lineup, make sure they have absolutely no options to get farm outside of this very far split push play from Yamsun down bot, but while he's splitting, Sammy's going to get hit up, Monster blinks in, The arena from Zero comes out. He tries for the spear, but Yuma had already activated the BKB, so he's just going to charge his way in. Sammy continuing to drop low. Can't toggle the armlet to keep himself alive, as they will lose the Huskar. Lil Nick is going to get picked off as well. Devi, he does go a little bit too far forward as Yamsun now joins the fight, but he's just in there for the drive-by hit. He can't actually stick around for the full-on engagement, because half of his team is already dead, but you get something out of that killing off the Ogre, but that's just not a kill that D2 Hustlers care about surrendering.
Yep, it's the BKB, it's the timing from Yuma. He just has absolutely nothing to be afraid of at that point, and unfortunately Yamsun, he comes back and he gets an Ogre kill, and that part is fine, but he gives up any creep pressure and he loses his avenue onto this bot side of the map, something that D2 were about to take away from him, but at the same time, you just don't have that split push play anymore, and if D2 are able to claim all of these outer towers with the first Aegis, the second Aegis is going to look miserable for them to have to play. We got to see another smoke up, I think, from them. We need to see them catching someone off guard. They have their ultimates coming up. That mid fight was already going to be incredibly difficult just because they were already spent after going for that Aegis kill in the top lane. So this is their next moment, but if they miss it, then this game is just going to continue to be a spiral. They need to find the target being Monster. If they find the Pango or the Coddle at the beginning of these fights, those are the picks that they're really trying to search for, because right now, Yuma is unkillable. There's no way you're going to be able to get him before the BKB, and unfortunately, they march right back into D2 territory.
Monster's going to hit him up with the Rolling Thunder. They're trying to get Sammy first. He's already out of the fight. Jubei dead as well, and this is not even going to be a fight. This is a run for their lives. As Yamsun has to get back to the base, he's not okay. Boundless Strike comes in. Fire Blast follows it up. The damage is there. He's trying to shift to Strength, and that is going to be enough to get him the waveform home, but Monster wants to continue the chase. Yamsun, though, morphs into the Monkey, sends out a Boundless. That's going to create the separation. Now Zero comes in looking for the Spear Stun. It does hit onto Monster, but they don't have the damage. The mech comes out from Flea, healing everybody up, and Black and Yellow just have to retreat. There was nothing more to be done there, and Zero... And DOT will not tick him down. He is going to be okay, but that was just sort of a desperation play at the end to try and get everybody home safely. And Lil Nick doesn't look like he's going to make it out as... Yeah, Yuma will just finish him off. Meanwhile, Jubei... Oh, no. Static Storm technically catches the TA here.
It timed out, it timed out.
Oh! Okay,
Huge.
Jubei.
Huge.
He lays out the bait. He had to die for it, but as you said, absolutely huge that they get that kill. Timing is perfect, and... Okay. If you're Black and Yellow... It did not look good up until the absolute last second there. And actually, it still might not be that great if Sammy does get caught out here, but he's going to try to fall back. As long as they keep everyone safe here, that is an absolute win for them.
Zero, it's might be time to go. Nice blink. Ooh.
Yep, son. Okay. DD, he's going to fall back as well, and... should never have doubted Jubei. He lays his life out there, but it is for the absolute most critical kill, the biggest kill they possibly really could have gotten with that timing, because it just breaks everything D2 Hustlers wanted. They're still down by 8k gold, but now the damage they actually took to their base just was non-existent. The tier 3 loses 4 HP. That's it. So they're still in a strong position to try and defend the high ground, but right now they would rather go looking for kills, but Zero, I really do hate to harp on that theme, but it's another missed spear. They're still pushing for Flea, but they don't want to go that far. They don't have confirmed vision on some of these other important heroes.
Yeah, they're going to play a little bit more defensively now. They don't want to give away that advantage. They've got 4,000 gold on the Morphling. Yeah, nice pick. Devi's just a little bit too far forward yet again, and they're definitely going to take these picks while they can. Sammy is finally going to look at that Aghanim Scepter being completed. And really, Black and Yellow, they're so confident playing in this D2 Hustler side. They got punished for it before, but it's definitely some overconfidence from D2 that now have put him in this position. And unfortunately, this is still their game. Nice blink from Zero. They got to keep dodging out D2 Hustlers while they still can. They're still waiting for a lot of those big items, especially if Yamsun can get this Scotty. That's the item that breaks this matchup, where suddenly this TA is looking very killable. And unfortunately for D2, this Roche is not even at its max timer. So the longer this Roche respawn actually takes, the more opportunities that Black and Yellow actually have at making a very real comeback in this game. But they still need to find these opportunities. Yuma would be a huge pick, but they got to start it soon. They got to find the arena. Otherwise, these trees are just way too hard for him.
And the Monkey, he does not have his TP for about 15 more seconds. So part of the reason why he's just straight up trying to tree dance his way to safety. And for now, he's okay, but Black and Yellow are still searching, and Zero, now would be the perfect time for redemption. He's been missing spears pretty consistently this game, but if he could get one here onto the Monkey, all would be potentially forgiven, but That is a little too much to ask. Yuma is just straight booking it as far away as he possibly can.
Yeah, it's really smart as well. Of course, they know that they're all playing in the top lane, so he knows that he's completely by himself. And if there are no black and yellow heroes playing top like they have been for the past few minutes, then Yuma doesn't need to be all too afraid. And that's when the TP comes, and now he's completely fine. Max timer on Roche, so black and yellow, they can have one more big flop when it comes to their team fight, because the Roche won't be immediately up, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like they can really afford to lose anymore. Nick's dragging creep waves over to 0 just to try and give the Mars a little bit more farm in this game, but
This is a
smoke.
problem. Esk blinks forward, revealing that new blink dagger. They get the boundless onto 2. Zero's already taken down, and now the front line's gone, and Yamsun, he didn't actually get out. They're able to lock him down with the Rolling Thunder, and that's just too much damage. It doesn't matter how fast you shift. You can only shift so many stats. He doesn't have the HP, and oh, that's a bit of a problem now. Sure, as you mentioned, they don't have to worry about the immediate Roche attempt, but now 2 heroes down, both of them cores. Do you maybe try to push your way?
Nick.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Nick, that's a problem. He tried to get up onto the high ground with that cookie, but that's not quite going to work the way he wanted it to. And now Sammy gets slowed up initially, and you did see Flea. He was sort of trying to get the wraparound for the knockback, but that would be a little bit too much. Sammy was pretty much already back in the base, so they're going to leave that one alone. But you still have a little bit of a window here to maybe get some chip damage onto a tier 3 tower, but see Sammy standing on the high ground. He just doesn't want to let that happen, and D2 Hustlers would rather not take the risk, especially with Roche back up in 30 seconds. If you lose heroes here, you may miss your opportunity to go after that second Roche.
Yeah, it's the cost of doing business. They'll give it up, but unfortunately, what do black and yellow do to get to this Roche fight? I think Sammy would love to finish this BKB before the engagement actually begins. He's even buying his own sentries to try and get rid of a lot of these TA traps, because that's what inevitably killed Yamsun bottom, was just them having that vision to make that jump. And I really don't think they can afford any more losses, because again, with Roche respawning, it's either going to be a crazy smoke play from black and yellow, or them really banking on the fact that this Aegis isn't going to be the end of the game for them. At the same time, Yamsun would also love his BKB, and they're pinging out. They would love to get this ward up on the cliff and then find kills with the Aghanim Scepter on the Huskar, but if they really waste too much time here, it's just going to be the end. They're trying to reclaim the hill, but look at how fast this Roche is going.
Yeah, it's pretty much dead already. They're just not going to be able to get here in time. So the Aegis picked up by Esk. The Shard also picked up by Esk.
Too. Oh, Sammy.
Dude, they just straight
They
push
can
for the
get
fight.
here.
Devi's going to take the hit first. Spear stun locks him down. He does have a Glimmer Cape, though, so... Okay, never mind. That's not enough. He will die. The Wukong's command is kind of going to whiff, but Esk, he still wants to push his way forward. Devi, meanwhile, buys back, but without the control of the outpost, he can't immediately TP into the engagement. So they are going in with a 4v5, but they see the Huskar lagging behind. They're going to jump in onto him. Sammy gets taken down. And now they get the slow on to 0 as well. The knockback is going to be there from the Blinding Light. Esk blinks forward for the melt hit, and that... Well, that is unfortunate for black and yellow. There is a buyback on the Mars, and he does have his arena, so... There's a possibility here if D2 Hustlers get a little bit too far forward where they could be punished, but they're actually the ones doing the punishing as Yuma goes in. He's looking to take down Nick. They're going to be able to take him down with the Boundless into the shield crash, and Lil Nick, he's going to pop his buyback. We get one out now from 0 as the Mortimer Kisses will fly in, but Esk, even if you kill him, that's only the first life, and you'll have to deal with the rest of the lineup. But Yuma, he did get his tree cut, but they're not able to push immediately onto him, but now they want it. Esk, can they get him? Okay. Very well done. As you said, he was looking for the blink, but they cancel it out immediately. Now they glimpse Monster back in. They'll get the spear stun out from 0. Yuma doing his best there, but that Boundless is only going to delay the death rather than... Oh, God, hold up. They don't cancel that blink dagger. Monster's on the run. Can he TP out? Yamsun...
It's so close, but that's such a good blink from him. At the same time, they definitely overstayed their welcome. They went for the kills. The fight got dragged away from the tower. If D2 Hustlers solely focus on getting buildings, then I think that fight looks very different for black and yellow to actually go, but D2 Hustlers almost initiated for them. Of course, very expensive. You had to use both the Snapfire and the Mars buyback, but at the same time, I feel like they're very happy with that trade, and that's the beginning of this TA being unable to show her face in these situations.
The courier's there. The hero's got to be there too, so they're going to push their way forward. They caught out Yuma, the BKB. He has no TP. He's got to make a break for it, trying to get into the tree line. Yamsun, though, continuing to chase. This looks goofy as hell with them just hopping in between trees. But they just need vision for Jubei.
By the ward, though.
There it is. They get the glimpse. They'll pull him back. Static is dodged. Are you kidding me? Yuma. He is still going. A boundless out from Yamsun will not connect, and Yuma may just get out of this one. As actually, he doesn't want to get out. He wants to go in. Look, his teammates are coming. They want the fight. Little Nick sort of in the middle of nowhere here, but the arena gets dropped. But Yamsun dodges another ult. They'll turn around. Sammy tries to life break in, but he's just going to get immediately blown up. Now Yamsun really has to do it all himself. The Scotty is on him, so he is starting to dish out some damage, but they're going to be able to stun him up, locking him down, keeping him in the middle of this fight, slowly trying to shift over towards strength, but it won't happen fast enough. Yamsun falls. They'll trade him for Yuma, but that trade will not be enough to matter. They'll lose Jubei as well, and this may just be the sort of ticket to go onto the high ground if you're D2 Hustlers, although if they want bot, they're going to have to get through the tower first, and there is backdoor protection, and actually no high ground push because the middle lane's pushed out as well, so they're going to have to wait this one out a little bit, but the death of Yuma should not stop them if they do choose to push further forward.
Man, this game's stupid. That was ridiculous. Being able to tree dance in all those situations, I think maybe you could say it was a misplay from Jubei not instantly pre-casting that static storm to try and get it faded, but tree dance is also just a ridiculous spell. I feel like that timer doesn't work the way it should sometimes, but now this is a lot of damage on the tier 3. Is it just damage on the tier 3? They will get the glyph out, which is still pretty massive for D2 Hustlers, but they don't want to use the Morphling's buyback, and they're actually going to respect their opponents here, because they know it's a very real possibility for Esk to die again, and they just don't want to throw the game without Yuma. If they're going to throw the game, they're going to throw it with Yuma, but still, I can't believe he survived for so long to be able to connect with Monster. It's just ridiculous.
And yeah, I think, as you said, at a certain point, Jubei, I'm not sure that there was really too much benefit to trying to hold off on that static and not precast it, because if you catch out Yuma, if you can take him down or even sort of just knock him out so he can't link up, then the team fight really doesn't happen the way that it does. As, well, Nick, he's just going to die to DOT. No, he's not. Esk wants the kill for himself, and he is going to be able to pick it up. So that is your Snapfire down for about 40. Buyback was used in that high ground defense up top, so not going to be back in for a little while, and Hustlers quickly trying to sort of reestablish control here. They've got all their heroes up and running. They're getting multiple lanes pushed out, and Black and Yellow do not have the strength right now. They can't afford to split their lineup to deal with all those lanes. They're focusing pretty much exclusively on bot right now, which opens up an opportunity. D2 Hustlers smoking his 5, and they're going to make their way down bot looking for the fight.
They've got to be so careful here. Yamsun just bought out his BKB, so no buyback on the Morphling. If he gets caught going down bot...
They saw him. The Boundless Strike is going to come in. They hit him with that Rolling Thunder, and that's just going to be the Morphling. Not dead yet. There we go. They take him down, and they're immediately on to 0 as well. The Mars is not going to be able to get himself out of here. Primal Spring connects. They'll finish him off. Jubei now knocked back by the Blinding Light, and yep, that's pretty horrible. That's all 3 dead. Buybacks just don't really exist, and they're going to take that.
Was ridiculous. It was just Boundless Strike into the Chain Stun from Monster. You caught the Morph without the shift. I mean, Yamsun knows that if a possible fight does break out in that position, he's going to need to stay on Agi as long as he can. Otherwise, there's no shot at killing Esk. But this is Megas. Arguably, it could just be tier 4s and Ancient, but the enemy team is just deciding to Megas them and then go for the GG. But there's just no opportunities here. Sammy's got a little bit of a crazy TP here if they know where he is, but he's got the BKB on Yuma. He's forcing him to fight,
but... move. Taunt comes in. Yuma's taking a lot of damage. He's disarmed now as well, but Sammy, yeah, he can't do it alone. He'll be taken down. Yuma now going to TP back to base to heal, and Flea...
Well, there's next.
Yeah, Flea can probably just recall him in a few seconds anyway, as Nick will fall, and they're just going to call it. The GG comes out. Black and Yellow certainly do last longer, twice as long as they did in Game 1, but the end result will still be the same, as Hustlers pull off a dominant 2-0 sweep.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're all friends here. Let's go play crab game, you know. Screw Dota. Dota sucks. But at the same time, 2 very, very clean games from D2, and now in the standings, placing themselves, I think, 1 game ahead of Hikori, which is incredibly nice for them. If there is any possibility of D2 making that upper bracket, you have that safety cushion, you have that extra series that you get to play. If you do end up going up versus one of the behemoths in this tournament, you do get knocked down lower. At least it's not the end of your path, but that's where, unfortunately for Black and Yellow, not very much changed, and without picking up another game here, unfortunately you are behind 2 based. Not saying that there is that elimination threat just yet. Of course, Arkosh do have some rough games ahead of them as well, but Black and Yellow can't dig themselves out of that grave just yet. They're still on the fringe.
They are still sort of dependent on some of the other matches that are going to be going on around them over the next couple of days. But if we have to say something positive for Black and Yellow, I mentioned earlier they did last much longer this time around. They looked a little bit better initially, but it just really all falls apart. We saw that team fight combo doesn't really come into play. Zero, so many missed spears on the Mars, you really can't afford that. And then Sammy's Huskar, we said he would have a pretty narrow window, and that time period really kind of passed him by. You saw in those last couple of fights, he tries to jump in, and they just kill him in a few seconds.
Yeah, and I think really the showcase, this is the second time that the team with last pick has gone for that incredible hard counter in the mid lane, and it just doesn't work out the way that teams really expect it to. I think they were assuming something more dominating would come in from Sammy Boy, where he's able to just kind of win the game for them, and unfortunately, with how good some of these teams are playing, they play this ignore you style of Dota where your huge power spike kind of just gets completely whiffed. I think that bottom lane, yet again, Zero and Nick just not really having that same impact that I think a lot of other support duos are able to have so far in this tournament. If they can fix that off lane, then I think there's really a bright future for Black and Yellow, because Yamson was the shining light in this game for them. He's really the one who gets put in that position time and time again, kind of pushes Sammy Boy to the side to be that win condition in a lot of scenarios. But Zero and Nick got to get it together a little bit more here, whether or not it's a hero thing or if it's just playing versus your opponents in a little bit more of a safe fashion. Because two times in a row, I think one of the lanes just horribly failed for Black and Yellow, and then the rest of the game fell apart because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they lose that lane so hard that there's really not a lot that they can do to recover. A combined 22 deaths for Zero and Nick. So not great, but Black and Yellow still have a little bit of agency remaining. They've got themselves, I think, one or two more series. For now, though, they do suffer a pretty rough defeat, while D2 Hustlers keep hope alive for that upper bracket run for the playoffs. So with that in mind, our second series comes to an end. We're going to be moving on to series number 3, and we take a trip up towards the top of the standings here. We are going to have Thunder Predator facing off against Infamous. So two squads at this point feeling relatively safe in the top 4. Obviously not locked in just yet, but at this point you are jockeying for a position, right? Being able to sort of have the advantage in that first upper bracket match could very much matter with regards to their runs deeper into that bracket. So those two are going to be going head to head here in just a little bit. We'll get those squads ready to go and in the lobby. We'll have game 1 of that series coming up in just a little bit, so sit tight. We'll be moving along to series 3 in about 10 minutes.